So I'm so okay. So this is better? Everybody hears me? Okay. I'm usually loud, but we'll see. Um, Getty's plane was late. So we decided that maybe we can switch the workshop. But then because you signed up for his workshop and mine is in the afternoon, we decided to keep you here for Getty until he gets here. And meanwhile, I will be talking to you so you don't have to wait. Ah, there I am. All of a sudden it came up. So this is my fifth time actually with the PNQAHE. And every year I come and I see some familiar faces that I have seen before. And then there are some new faces as well. And if you could tell me a little bit of your groups and why did you group yourself like this? And what do you think about PNQAHE? And also, you know, the putting together all the system under like certain guidelines. With we could discuss a little bit more of this well until Getty is here. Okay. So let's start with the ladies. And where are you coming from? Are you all from the same university? No, different universities. So what are the colleges that you are coming from? Just
I'm from Pakistan Institute of Fashion and Design. I'm the assistant director in the QEC there.
Shazia Umair, Deputy Director, Quality Enhancement Cell, University of Central Punjab, Lahore.
University of Biological and Applied Science, Lahore.
Rubina Imad, Principal, Government Girls Degree College, Sawalder, Mardan.
Shazia Shabir, I'm the Additional Director, Quality Enhancement Cell, OMSETS University, Islamabad.
thank you. You sir? Oh, you are the still you can say.
So this is Dr. Anwar Mughal. I'm from statistics. I'm working as an organizer for you. So in case any problem arise, so let me know. So I'll try to resolve as soon as possible. Thank you.
Here we go.
I'm Ijaz Ahmed, working as Assistant Director in Quality Enhancement Cell, Institute of Management Sciences, Peshawar.
I'm Dr. Abed from University of Malacca, working as Assistant Director in QVC.
I'm Naveedullah, working as a principal of the Healthcare Institute of Nursing, Peshawar.
Dr. Javed Iqbal, Dr. Javed Iqbal, Government College, Gadi Kapura, Mardan, and I'm the QC focal person over there.
Latifur Rahman, FEMS College of Nursing, Malacca. Yes.
I'm Zoha Malik from Women Medical and Dental College, Aptabad. I'm a QC manager of that.
I am Lisa Wajahat, Women Medical and Dental College, Aptabad.
I am Zainab Jidoon, QEC Manager, Women Institute of Learning, Aptabad. It's working. Zainab Jidoon, QEC Manager from Women Institute of Learning, Aptabad.
Tubajidoon, Women in thanks.
Jinas.
The College of Nursing.
Hello, I'm Ravish Chudun, QEC Manager from Women Medical College. Women Medical College, Aptabad.
I'm Vadidul Janan. I'm also from Women Medical College.
I am Dr. Atif Hussain, working as a professor of anatomy and the director of the QEC Women Medical College. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. I'm Dr. Arif, working as Director QC, National Skill University, Islamabad.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammad Anwar Khan. I am Deputy Director Quality Assurance, Bahria University, Islamabad.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Pakistan again. This is Bakir Hassan, Director Quality Enhancement Cell, Rawalpindi Women University.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Awais Abdul Wahid, Deputy Director QA at NAST. And it's so good to see you again. Thank you so much. Thank you, please.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Kamran Sraj, Assistant Director QAC, Aurora University of Art, Architecture, Design and Heritage, Sakkar.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Abrar Khatak, QAC, Government College of Goda Khatak.
I'm Wasif, Dr. Wasif, and I am Assistant Professor here at Center for Public Policy and Governance and FC College. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Riaz Ahmad. I am Assistant Professor at the Department of Management Sciences, University of Turbat, and I'm also looking the portfolio of QC for there. Thank you. Yeah.
I remember too. They're old friends, like I said.
Dr. Dani Bakhtalpur, Director QAC, University of Sufism and Modern Sciences, Bitsha.
Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Anam, Assistant Director of QMC, Premier Institute of Health and Management Sciences, Peshawar.
Assalamu alaikum, Bilal Ahmad, Premier Institute of Health and Management Sciences, Peshawar.
Hi, I am Dr. Rais Khan, Director QEC, Information Technology University known as ITU Lahore, located at Alpha Karim Software Technology Park, Lahore.
And these are, let's pass that way. Whoa.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Adis Jamali from University of Sufism, Bitsha, Sindh, Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum, I am Mahmood Hashim Deto, Assistant Director QC from the University of Sufism and Modern Sciences, Bitsha, Sindh.
Assalamu alaikum, Jibran Khan, a focal person QAC, GCMS Jalousi.
Professor Zawar Ahmad, Principal Government Postgraduate College of Commerce and Management Sciences, Nowshera.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Hasham Ali, work as a lecturer of computer science in the higher education department, KV.
All right, did we get everybody? Missing anyone? Oh, there is a new person I saw. Okay, and you are from?
This is Ikra Ashraf. I'm working as a data analyst in QAC from FCCU.
Oh, FCC. Perfect. All right, so now that you know, I won't remember all of you. I'm sorry, especially the names, but I wanted you to know who is coming from where and what directions. This is Selva Stab, and this is, like I said, my 5th time. I'm coming from Turkey, and I'm in charge of the QEC for our university system. So what I do is I go to the universities and do a little bit of research on their accreditation process, if they have done accreditation, how they are doing, and how they are pursuing for the further enhancements of their colleges. And I have been doing this for a long time. And prior to that, I lived in the United States for 20 years. I worked there. And I was also doing some accreditation processes. The college that I used to work, we ran through and then we awarded for 5 years for them too. My interest area in the accreditation process or the quality of the colleges lies with the strategic management. I am also a strategic management professor, and I see some management field in here. And what I do is I looked at the institutions and how their strategic plan aligns with their curriculum. So like this afternoon, when I do my workshop, we'll start with the mission statement and then come down all the way to the curriculum and how we assess our students. So our workshop is going to be, aligning all that work. What's the goals? What are the different things that needs to be done within the university and the program to tie to the students' outcome? And when they graduate, that outcome shows us how they are aligned with their industrial needs. So that's what we are going to do. And unfortunately, mastering stakeholders, where Geddy is going to talk, is very important. So I'm sure Geddy will talk about it when he comes. But when we say stakeholders, what do you think that we talk about? Who are our stakeholders? Students. What did you say? Right. And anybody who involves in, okay. There's the students here. Students one. Say, faculty, industry. I'm breathing with the system. Who else? Community leaders. Regulators. Government. Alumni. Employees. What about families? Families. What else? Yes. Anybody who touches everything that you have sent and said are the major stakeholders. Some of them are a lot closer to the shop, right? And some of them a little farther. But when we talk about it, alumni is one that somebody said we miss a lot of times. And then the families we miss, because the families makes the judgment a lot of times, right? So if their students are happy, they tell their friends, friends tells the friends, and it goes that way. Student involvement, which is another workshop that one of the keynote speakers is going to do, is very key to us. And how do you get the students involved in your colleges to the QAC process? A lot of you are in the QAC.
Normally, what we do here in Pakistan, the university that I have visited, is teachers evaluation performer. Basically, there are a number of other HEC prescribed performers, but the main concerning with the students is the teachers evaluation and the course evaluations. And obviously, we do have some very interesting things going on, like we need to formulate a student body that is scale, and a student lead representative to voice them into the statutory processes, forums, and ultimately to the apex body. But that is actually the plan. But what we are doing is we are only collecting the feedback on teachers' evaluation and the courses evaluation. That's it.
Anybody else is doing anything that's specific to student involvement?
In ComSys University, we have involved the students in IQC, Internal Quality Circle, and they are the representative from the student body, and they participate in the meetings and involved in the quality assurance processes. We have formulated this IQC and we have engaged them, and we are giving the responsibility to the students, and we are getting the feedback from them and participating in. Yes, after every 6 months. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That's good. And is that a policy in your college to do this every 6 months? That's perfect. Okay. So that's one important thing, is to have them involved into the meetings and have a voice. That's a good one. Anything else that you do?
Basically, the interaction of students in our institute are very passive, not active one. Like a policy making, there are many stakeholders or statutory bodies. There are seats for students, but I think no any university involved them in policies for students, and their presentation is not over there. So this is like a radio. We make policies, we implement upon them, and this is the truth.
Any other ones?
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Mohammad Abdullah Qazi. I am Director Medical Education and QEC in Women Medical and Dental College. I've recently graduated from Dundee with a PhD in medical education. So my area is medical education. The past 2-3 years, we've been very active in involving students in on different levels, especially the curriculum development. We also have yearly surveys where we ask the students what they think about the course, the program. We ask the alumni what they think can be improved. And there is one thing that I would like to point out. Students have the apprehension that, it doesn't matter if we say it or not, if we identify the areas that need to be improved. So, to give them confidence, we're trying to take decisions where, the decisions that they have voiced. So, yeah, we are kind of in the transitional phase where we, give the voice to the students. It's a tough journey. Yeah. So we have monthly meetings. We call them modular meetings, pre-modular and post-modular meetings. The STR class rep is one of the members of those meetings. All the heads of different departments are also there. So it's usually monthly, and the survey questionnaires, it's yearly, but those are for all the modules. And it's also for the faculty, how what their feelings are about the faculty, what can be improved. So it's a number of aspects. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, changing the curriculum according to the student needs is important, but how often do we need to change the curriculum? Because once we do that, what happens is it's an ongoing process, and 1 year to the next, you always have a different student. And how are you going to align that with the diploma? Because at the end, it should be a certain level of same education. So that's one of the things that you need to consider. How we solved in Turkey is we have a certain mandatory courses that they don't change. We know that they are the curriculum. We cannot change those. But then majority of our courses becomes an elective courses. And according to the need of that time period, we change the elective courses often. So that way the curriculum doesn't change, but the elective courses changes. In certain fields, it's easy to do, but in certain fields, it might be difficult. For example, in medical field, how many electives you can have. In social sciences, maybe in engineering, it's easier, but then you just have to decide what is it that you need to do. What about the industry involvement? How often do you involve them, and what are their impact on your curriculum? How often do you involve the industry?
Well, at NUST, we have advisory boards. That is a sort of highest body at school. The basic purpose is to provide a set strategic plan or a roadmap where we invite the people from the industry. They used to come and provide their feedback about the students, that the areas that we identify, like if we need to work on their skills, their knowledge, their abilities, and the changing times, what ex- what exactly the industry requires from our graduates. So basically, these advisory boards on school levels, and moreover, there are engineering programs that have industry advisory boards that are actually particular to the undergraduate programs. So these are the forums, and more. We also conduct some workshops and consultative sessions apart from this particular exercise. So this is what we do. Yes, that's at the faculty level or the school level, but if you consider it on an institutional level, actually the schools submit or consolidate all that activities and put up the reports based on that particular exercises that you used to carry out on school levels. Yes.
Any other different systems that you use?
In Institute of Management Sciences, we have involvement of industry in multiple levels. In our highest forum is Board of Governance. In our Board of Governance, a representative from Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan is a member, plus two eminent entrepreneurs, CEOs from industry are the members. Then corporate advisory boards at school levels. We are representatives from industry came and they give their feedback regarding our courses, our curriculum. Then another body is curriculum review committee, where we also two meetings of curriculum review committee in each year. Yes, stakeholders. In curriculum review committee, mostly the industry representative are those who are our own alumni and now working in industry. That's the system.
Anybody has a program level advisory board? Yeah.
Yes, we have the Board of Studies. So for every program in the Board of Studies, there are people from the industry who come and give their feedback. So this is how we involve them. Then the school, yeah. Yes.
That actually is a good system to have if you have the program level, because you need a specific things. Otherwise, it becomes a little generic. So if you have the program level, they give you specific information that you need about that field because they know it in and out of it. And then the faculty level is, some of them can be consist of the program level. And then there is others that can look overall to the faculty in general, different fields. And then the university level actually is like my friend said, it is all about the university's strategic planning. So that's a good way of doing it. Anybody involves the families into these stakeholder meetings, or anybody surveys families? No.
Family is involved when the new session starts. We have the orientation. The family members, they are participating in that, and they are having one-on-one meeting with the faculty, and different systems they are being introduced. So whenever they are having any problem, any issue, they can contact those. Yes. Yes.
At college level, we also have the college councils. And in college council, we have some prominent members from like the alumni of that college, and some members, they are from the community or the social workers. And normally we have monthly meetings or twice or thrice. But after 3 months, normally that happen. And in that certain things that can be communicated by those people to their own concerned circles. So that really works there whenever we have certain types of meeting in that. So those are also actually the stakeholders.
Anything else? What we can do with the families is, like you said earlier, involving them early stage will help. But as we can imagine, anybody who comes, they will come with a complaint. If there is an issue, they will come. Otherwise, they won't come for improvement or anything that's good happening. You know, very few people will come and thank you, but a lot of times they're gonna complain, right?
We do have a system in which we involve parent teachers. We have parent teacher meetings, schedules, and they come, they suggest, and they take some good advices as well. And they give us some every 6 months, after each semester, before semester and after semester. Yeah.
Gonna say it, and she said it well done. Like before and after is perfect, because at the beginning you inform them, but at the end, you know, what have been doing, you know, what else we can do to improve. That's a perfect way of doing it. We undermine the families a lot, but actually the families can give us great feedbacks. So we need to involve the families, especially at the beginning and at the end of the curriculum. All right. So anything else that you can think of for the stakeholder engagement that you believe that should be happening? Or any unique things that you are doing? All right.
Well, I just wanted to add one thing that that is the weak area, what I personally consider. By taking the parents on board, or the community, especially in the community engagement activities, are not actually being prioritized by the authorities. Um, Especially the people living in the same vicinities or the nearby areas, they must be involved. They must provide, universities can provide their facilities for the cultural events or some sort of activities. And people across the globe are actually working on this particular area. But what I have observed, it's not that much, but it requires our attention. Actually, thank you.
I'm gonna go in according to who raised hands first.
We have the system. Every department is arranging the job fairs in which the industry is being involved, and they are coming and they are assessing the students, and they are especially the final year students. They are there, and they are choosing them for their jobs as well. And this is a best practice, I think, so that the industry is directly involved in the university, and we are having different projects which we are doing with the industry. Our students' final year projects, they are based on that. And they are, yes.
Now, the job fairs are great, career fairs are great, but are you taking feedback from, you know, how are you taking the feedbacks from there? Because the industry and the student meets, and then I'm a student, I come and I say, I'm looking for a job. Well, conversation goes on, and from student and the person that they have actually done a pre-interview, should have a written statement, some sort, where you can analyze them and see where the lacks are. Are you doing this?
We send our final semester students for 2 to 3 months internship, where they go and they see what is the scope of this, what is their scope of for doing that any work or something. When they do their some job or something, then they come back with the feedback and a little bit of more confidence. So that is how we operate this system.
And there was one more here. Hi.
Thank you.
I wanted to touch into, we were talking about how you involve parents. So we have a learning management system, and when students are enrolled, along with the students, we also invite the parents to sit in workshops and seminars, and then we create logins for them so they can go into the learning management system and, kind of get an idea of how the course works, and also a number of things about their, daughters, like attendance and, timetabling. But we do want to involve them at a deeper level, especially when it comes to curriculum development. And in our industry, the outcome should be that healthcare should be improved. So we also involve patients. Patient involvement is very important for us. Our fourth year and final year of MBBS and third year, fourth year of dental program, they go in the hospitals. So we do try to involve them, but again, I think there's a lot of improvement that can be made in that area, particularly when we talk about curriculum development. Yeah.
All right. There are some new attendees, I think. And there was one hand here.
Actually, ma'am, my point is regarding the community engagement. What I believe that there must be some sort of quarterly or monthly event through which we can involve parents or community leaders as well.
So when we take a look at all these different perspectives, there's definitely, we all agree that we need to have the stakeholders' involvement in the colleges, in the strategic planning, curriculum development, right? How we run things and how we actually get the students into the industry. And on top of it, we need a structure for this. It seems like, what we do in our colleges is that we get the stakeholder involvement, but we don't have a specific structure for it. We do have different things, but how we run them. Okay, most of us, we say every 6 months we meet so and so. But what about the follow-up of those meetings? We come up with the plan, and the first meeting, the stakeholders actually tells us some ideas, and then we go back and do we implement them? How do we follow them? How do we measure the success of those implementations? And how do we give the feedback to the stakeholders who originally suggested this? We call this the PUCO, the planning, what was that? Planning, organizing, I said it in Turkish, so that's why I'm all confused right now. I can't turn to English. PUCO is Turkish. That's it. My mind went to Turkish and then I cannot come back to English right now. Yes, the planning, doing, checking, and then replanning. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So how do we do this one? Do we do this one?
We have SARS. SARS are the reports we do annually, and in which we touch every area regarding these quantums, like the teachers' evaluation and course evaluation and the community engagements, and everything is checked over there, and that is documented as well. So this is we do every year. For the affiliated colleges also do this, and they then submit the report to QAC to the affiliated universities.
My main question was, once we get the feedback, how we collect it and how we report it is fine. But my question is, we get the feedback from the stakeholders, whomever it was, industry, students, employers. How do we give the feedback back to the stakeholder after we have evaluated what they have said to us and how we implemented their suggestions? What is the system that you have in that perspective? Because once we implement, or, you know, either way, we have to give them a feedback. If somebody tells you that, you know, this is what I suggest, they want to hear positive or negative response. I can't do it. I cannot do it because, or I will do it in this way. You know, we have to give some sort of feedback to it. So how do we do this loop? Because otherwise what will happen is they will not give feedback anymore. Once we ask and they don't hear it back, they will slowly stop giving feedbacks. They need to be involved and they need to understand that whatever they have said is actually important for us, that we have taken into consideration. Otherwise, the second time you ask, they will say, well, I give you feedback last time and you didn't tell me anything about it. So why should I talk anymore, right? Okay.
Although this is true that whenever feedback is given and taken, I can say authority do not take it that serious, and that is some financial constraints and everything. But we have a system where SRBs are there in the universities and the course contents, and somehow those constraints are considered there to, if we cannot say 100%, but at least to 60 to 70%, the issues are addressed and tried to resolve.
So in Turkey, we didn't have this system either, but we did create a program now where we can actually follow up that procedure. And I'll tell you how we have created it until my friend here.
Madam, there may be a structure because those people who are from software side, they will know that every time end users suggest that this is an error or bug, but technical side, those are not bugs or error. So this is a big glitch in software developer and software users always fight over there. So there must be a checking setup. We must follow choosy setup, realistic approach. If someone's feedback is realistic, then we go and adopt that approach. If that is an ideal situation, not realistic, not possible, then we leave and may think of keep that suggestion for future. So this is the way we somehow solve those feedbacks. I think so.
And also we need to tell them why it is impossible. Because, you know, we can give it suggestions to a lot, but what we need to do is we need to tell them why we cannot do it or we can do it. Okay. It could be something like the financial strengths that we have right now that we cannot afford to do it, or technical issues, personnel issues. And then when you give that feedback to the stakeholders, sometimes they do come up with solutions. If they are the industry and they truly believe that feedback is going to improve your college or the university, then they can sometimes come up with the money to support that aid. And if you don't give them the feedback, what they assume is that you just didn't take care of their ideas. So when you give the feedback, sometimes they come back with the solution. In Turkey, we have created a software system actually, where what we do is, again, we meet every 6 months with our stakeholders in all the levels, the university, the faculty level, and then the program level. Every 6 months we meet with them. And before the meeting, we send an agenda to the stakeholders. The first time was generic, what we want to discuss. But then after that, it's all about the previous meetings discussions. So what we have done. So we sent them the agenda and supporting paperwork that we'll need for them to understand. Let's say that they suggested a curriculum change. So what we do is we put that as an agenda item and then attach the new curriculum and the old curriculum and how we improved it or changed it. Okay. And then before they come to the meeting, they review those things. And if we do have if we do have the barriers for not doing something, we write it explicitly, explain. So when they come, they don't hear this in the meeting. What they do is they read it. And when they come to the meeting, we rediscuss those items and then additional items that they suggest. And then we go back and then send them what we have discussed in that meeting. Again, with the software, they receive it. And then they come back and reply through the software to that meeting saying that these are also should be included. And then every 6 months, we repeat that. So we involve them in a constant feedback loop. That way, when they come back, they talk about us. So there was a specific course that they suggested in my program. We had a stakeholders meeting and they said that because my program is management and we involve, and I specifically work in the logistics sector. And that's the future job, that everybody's in logistics right now. And when my stakeholders came, they suggested that you need to have a course where every week there will be a different sector representative should come and talk about specifics of that sector. And because my university is the government university, it is hard for us actually to have a contract for every single one of them per week. And they don't want money, which is fine, but then we need to have them in a contract somehow. And we didn't know how to do this. So what they have suggested to us is while we were discussing, like each week there will be a different instructor, it didn't occur to us that they said each semester have one of your instructors registered as the curriculum in charge, in charge of that class, and we'll be the guest to that class. So every week we will come to that class, which was after the meeting. They suggested that, and it was going to take us a little while to figure out how to do this course. If we didn't give them the right away feedback, thinking that this is the dilemma we have, they immediately, so we didn't have to wait for 6 months for this. Because of the system, they gave their feedback immediately. So things are a lot faster when you run it through, quicker this way. And it's running perfectly right now, which is, very helpful. And students loves that course. They say that the entire program, this is the one that we gain the most because everybody is coming from the industry and they are coming with the real-time problems. And they take it very seriously. There are a lot of these, perfect teachers. They come up with their dilemmas, even if at work, and they bring it to the classroom and they solve it all together. And some of them actually talk about what's up in the future and how they can prepare themselves. There's a lot of good topics coming out of that. So that feedback system is the most important thing because it seems like we gather the information, but a lot of times we don't give enough feedback for them to fix the system. So, and then we are stuck on our own ways. Anybody is doing this in that level? Yeah.
Thank you again. So I just wanted to touch up on what I was talking about before. For us, I think in health professions education, students And patients, we believe, are the most important stakeholders. So we want to give the students the confidence that we listen to you, and what you say is important. So when we involve them in curriculum meetings, we want to make sure that their suggestions, even if they're the smallest ones, we take them into consideration. For example, uh, we have some free slots in our timetable. And if students come up with some topics that this is what we want to learn, this is what we would like to learn, we make sure that we incorporate those. And then, once it's in the timetable, in the post-modular meeting, then we can ask them about the session, how it went, and how it can be improved. So they know that, their voice is important. Yeah, and for patients, we are trying to involve them as much as possible, but I think there is a lot of room for improvement still. Yeah.
And in our curriculums, a lot of times, like we focus on the theory specific or the field specific things, but a lot of times the students ask for self-improvement courses too. Have you heard of this in Pakistan, that they ask for like self-improvement courses as well? For example, for doctors, right? They, in our universities, they started to ask how to communicate to my patients, how to create an empathy with my patients. I am so focused on the field that sometimes I forgot how to do the empathy part or how to communicate to my patients. So we actually put that in our nursing program, in our medical program. There is a specific courses for those and some other ones. And for engineers, especially for the programmers, they ask for how to communicate with their clients or with their different things, because computer science, you are on the computer, you don't know how to communicate, and your communication is very specific level. But someone like me, they won't understand a lot of that language, and I am the client. So they wanted to have like a presentation skills and the communication skills. You were raising your hand.
Yes, we do offer, and as per the need of the students, we are having the communication skill courses, soft skills courses, and even then the different languages if they want to, like French and different language courses, they are also being offered in our university. Yes.
They are still credited, but they're extra curriculum and they can pick and choose in different fields, in different areas. Perfect. So this is the stakeholders. I don't want to get into too much because then when he comes to do his part, you will be doing a lot of the things that repeating it. So I was just having a discussion. But any questions about the stakeholders' involvement, that you have questions in your mind that, you came to this specific topic with a question in your mind, probably. You wanted to learn certain things. So what was those questions that you wanted to answer?
I'm really interested in to get an idea what are the practices that are actually being carried out at your university regarding the interpretation of the feedbacks, especially when you talk about the industry, when you talk about the alumni. We all collect feedback from our stakeholders, but personally, I don't consider that it has actually been interpreted or being followed up in a lot of institutions. So it's a very difficult job to get everything into some meaningful, actionable things. So, especially when we talk about the industry, we get that we have a similar exercise like advisory boards at program and school levels. But when we talk about the alumni, usually they don't respond. It's very difficult, and I believe it's like 10% or very few people are actually responding to that questions. And that similar situation happens when we engage with the employers. So I'm really interested in knowing like what is happening at your university in these two particular areas, please.
Now, we have the same problems. So, in general, in Turkish institutions and around the world, I talk to my colleagues in Europe, in United States, in different areas, they have the same problem. We do get those feedbacks, but then how do we interpret these? And what kind of collections we need to do. A lot of times the surveys, they believe, and I believe too, doesn't give the right feedback, when either they don't fill in or they just fill in the way convenient for them. Sometimes it goes like beep, 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 done, So, but the involvement, yes, should include the surveys, but also personal communication. And in my now I switched jobs. So 3 months now I'm in a new job, and I in this job we're working on this as well. And the previous institutions, we did have this dilemma. And when I left, we were discussing about creating a specific committee for this. Just 3 people, not much, just 3 people who understands the statistical, the methodology well, where they will just collect all that data, and their job is to constantly evaluate the data, either in quantitative way or quantitative way. And you need to collect both ways. So we need to have a group discussions. So you need to bring the alumni time to time to the campus. The best way to do it, this is how we do it in Turkey, is to invite the alumni once a year for a celebration. And they come and we feed them. And when they come back, and they love to come, by the way, because it's free food. And on top of it, they get to see each other after years, and how they changed. They like to see each other, how they changed. And sometimes they actually find oh, here we go. Yay! So let me finish my sentence and then I'll pass the microphone to you gladly. So what we do is when they come to the alumni meetings, when they are, we have them sitting like this, and each table we have a faculty member with them. And when they are discussing and talking, they take notes of what they are taking. And then we take them to the statistical evaluation office, all that feedback. And that's their job to review it. So they look at all the surveys and the discussion notes, and then they gather the general information. But you do need a specific office where they will constantly look into statistical data. Thank you. Welcome. You were a little late, but finally you are here. Hopefully you are not too tired.
Oh, I'm exhausted. Yes.
Yes, you Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Dr. Gaidi Farash. I am happy to see you all. I apologize for being late. I am coming in from Switzerland. Where am I looking? Who's doing the slides? Oh, I just want to be able to see who to say to the next one. So let's jump to the second slide, and I'll tell you a little bit about my background, and then we'll get into what we're going to be trying to do today. Because I think it's always important that you know who you're talking to, who you're hearing from. My name is Gaidi. Like I said, I'm originally from the United States. I grew up in California, born and raised. I did my PhD at UC Berkeley before moving on to I did a fellowship at Harvard, a fellowship at UMass Amherst, and actually went into the private sector after university. And I moved to East Africa. I spent a lot of time in Tanzania, about a decade in Tanzania, working for private investors, doing a lot of business stuff, a lot of interaction with government. So a lot of stakeholder management that we're going to talk about today. But I was doing it from the private sector side, representing investors, trying to build hotels, trying to start microfinance, doing a lot of different projects that were very interesting, but they weren't my passion, which was higher education. So after doing that for about a decade, I decided I want to move back into higher education. And that's when I left Tanzania. I wound up in Mauritius, working with a startup university. Then I moved to Rwanda, worked for the university in Rwanda for several years, went back to the United States right after COVID for a small window. And now I'm based in Switzerland at a school called the American Institute of Applied Sciences in Switzerland. Very small private business college. So all of the degrees are business management at both the bachelor's and master's level. But Switzerland has a sorry to old, I'm technically challenged, so give me a second. This goes up further. You guys hear me okay? Okay, I feel special. Okay, so yeah, I was telling you a little bit about my background. These are pictures originally from Sacramento, California. That's the first picture. Second picture is Tanzania, which is famous for its safaris. Oh. High tech now. Third picture is Mauritius. The last picture there is Rwanda. So what I do now is I'm the dean of academics, right? So I manage the faculty, I manage the academic programs, right? So we're going to be talking about stakeholder management. So first, I want to know who the stakeholders are in this room. Who am I dealing with, right? Who am I trying to engage with today? So how many of you all work in quality assurance roles? I just want to make sure, because like I'm not technically, I'm on the administrative side. So how many of you work internally for a school or an institute, not an external quality assurance agency? How many of you guys are internal roles? Everybody's internal. Is there anybody here who's an external? Everybody's internal. Okay, perfect. This is going to be good. You know, like understanding your stakeholders makes it easier to determine like what kind of message you need to communicate. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. So what we'll talk about today is hopefully by the end of this workshop, kind of defining what a stakeholder is in the context of quality assurance, right? Because there's many different stakeholders in our lives. We're going to focus on quality assurance, particularly within the space of higher education. But a lot of the takeaways today are applicable if you're doing business, dealing with family, a lot of different areas. We're going to identify a wide range of relevant quality assurance stakeholders. A lot of us in our jobs and our roles, we get very comfortable dealing with the same people, right? And because we're comfortable with them, we continue to go back to them, and we don't think about how to engage other people that might actually help us accomplish some of our goals. So that's what we're going to try and do today. Expand how we think about stakeholders, who we work with, who we engage with, right? We want to analyze those stakeholders based on their influence and their interest, right? Some people are not very interested in what we're doing, but they're very influential. They can help us, right? Some people are extremely interested, but they're not very influential, right? And so how do we understand those differences and understand how we manage those different stakeholders, how they help us accomplish our goals, right? So that's part of what we're going to be trying to do today. And then develop targeted strategies for engaging key stakeholders, right? So we think about this as a process, right? First, it's like, who are the stakeholders, right? What is their interest, their level of interest? I mean, their level of influence. And then after we understand those things, how do we develop a very specific strategy? Because the way you're going to deal with somebody who's maybe very interested but not very influential is not the same as you deal with the influential person, right? And what we want to develop these strategies around is sometimes we find ourselves in roles where we feel like, well, because of my role, I'm not even supposed to engage that person. I've got to go through someone else or this other person. But sometimes it's about figuring out what the appropriate strategy is to understand how you can communicate with this person that previously might have been out of reach, out of touch to you, right? So that's what we want to talk about when we talk about these different strategies for how we engage the various stakeholders in their roles, right? And the larger kind of framing question for this is, who is critical to making quality assurance strategic, right? Because one of my big objectives is getting you all to kind of, and I'm going to talk about this when I do my keynote as well, is getting you to reset your mindset about how you think about your own role in quality assurance, particularly internally, right? A lot of times, quality assurance is seen as the person who's just coming in, enforcing the rules, right? And there's a big separation often between leadership in an institution, between those people who determine strategy and quality assurance. And what I'm saying is, who's critical to making quality assurance strategic? I believe that you all should be at the table when the 5-year strategic plan is laid out, when the operational plans are laid out, right? But in order for that to happen, you have to shift your mindset to believe that you also should be in those conversations. And so how do you frame a conversation with the relevant stakeholders to get at the table? Because you guys have a lot of information. You have all the data about what's working, what's not working, where the problems are, right? And how do you share that information with the appropriate people so that you can become a part of that conversation around strategy, right? And that's where understanding how to map and engage with these key stakeholders becomes important. Okay, so forgive the formatting's off a little bit, but first we want to define stakeholders, right? So just very broadly, when we talk about stakeholders in this context, any group, individual, or entity who either affects or is affected by, right, the QA processes, outcomes, and strategic initiatives, okay? And we talk about strategic imperative, we're talking about why it's important, why it matters. It's going to enable collaboration that you often haven't had in the past, right? Again, I'm not a quality assurance person. I'm an academic, I'm an administrative leader, I'm a faculty member sometimes, I'm a faculty manager, but I'm a big advocate that the administrative side of the house and the leadership side specifically needs to work more collaboratively with quality assurance, right? And so I talk to school leaders about this and school administrators, but I also want to talk to you all again to get you all to shift your mindset, because you all need to become ambassadors for quality assurance as strategic partners, right? It helps you navigate change. Often there's new policies that come down, there's new rules that get passed, and it's your job to help communicate those, right? And figure out how to manage that change within your institutions, right? And often you guys get seen as the bad guy, as if you made up the rule. You didn't make up the rule, right? It might be a new legislative policy, something from government, something from one of the funders or some other external stakeholder, but you have to help the school understand, your institution understand how to manage that change, right? And so how do you manage your stakeholders in that place, right? Because sometimes, and this is where it's important to think about the mindset shift, sometimes it's important to understand that we often put ourselves in these boxes, in these cages, where we think we're not allowed to do something simply because it's never been done before. But there's no rule against it, right? And then sometimes when a rule is put in place, we overinterpret the restrictions that it means, that it puts in place. And it's our job as school leadership, as quality assurance, to figure out the appropriate balance to say, okay, there's this new rule, there's this new policy, we have to live with it, but how can we creatively, how can we innovatively figure out how to continue to do our work in the most positive and effective way without letting this thing become too much of a barrier, right? Instead of just saying, oh, you know, it's this terrible thing, and it means all these things have to change. Because that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the case, but sometimes there's ways to creatively get around what we assume are the restrictions that come with a new policy change, right? And that's why it's important to have this collaboration. And again, talking about the mindset, shifting from reactive to proactive. When I say proactive, that's again, getting you all to see yourselves as part of that larger strategy conversation, right? So you guys are coming to the table and saying, this is the information we have, this is how we think we can best enable this, right? I work with a head of quality assurance right now, and she's really good at coming to me and saying, look, at the end of the day, this is your policy. You have to own this. So tell me what you are comfortable with, what you want to live with, and we'll figure out the language, right, that checks all the boxes in terms of what we have to do, but also gives you the freedom, right, to manage your programs the way you want to, right? Okay, so any questions about where we're going today? Yes. Okay, yes. So she's asking what I mean again about shifting from reactive to proactive. So when we talk about reactive, it means you're always responding to an external force. Somebody's always giving you a policy, giving you something, giving you a rule, and you're basically just going in and telling the person, oh, you can't do this, or you have to do this. This is what they said. This is what they say. Being proactive is saying no before the change even comes. For example, like we know there's a policy discussion going on. Rule hasn't even passed. How can we come in and institutionally make adjustments so that we know when this happens, we'll be in a better place without it being very disruptive, right? So thinking proactively about how we can engage with our school leadership, with our administrative teams, with our faculty, with our students, about how we can meet the expectations, right, of external stakeholders, of internal stakeholders, but also again, creating the nurturing and healthy learning environment that we want for our students without always just responding to somebody else, right? So we're the ones who are being creative. We're the ones thinking about strategy. We're the ones thinking ahead of time before somebody comes and tells us, oh, no, you can't do it like this. You can't do it like this. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we're mostly at groups when we're at the tables. Maybe you guys can cluster 3 and 3 and 3 over here. Because what we want to do next is actually start identifying your stakeholders. So just for probably 5 to 6 minutes, I want you guys to just brainstorm at your tables about all your potential stakeholders, right? Everybody, anybody who's a stakeholder, internal, meaning they're within your institution, external. So just, you've already done this. Okay. So, okay. No, no, it's okay.
You guys should do it, but you will be, heads up.
Oh, no, no, if you've already done it, if you already started on the process, we're going to go a little bit at stage 2, which means put them in categories. Okay. Okay. No worries. Okay. Okay. So we'll do this leading up to the tea break. So finish out thinking about who all the stakeholders are, right? And then put them in categories, right? And you all make up the categories that you think are relevant at your tables and your groups. Okay. And then we'll talk about what those categories are. Okay. I'm just going to move around a little bit and get a sense of who you guys are talking about in terms of your stakeholders. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Think about every level. So when you talk about external, it's not just, so what are the government leads? So you want to make a list of all of them, right? Oh, guys, should be outstanding. Thank you. Okay. This is patients. Okay, you guys do medicals. Okay. Okay. And you have students, what is this?
How we involve them.
Okay. What about parents? Do they matter? I mean, they do to some people. Mhm. So what about, right, I see the parents.
In the director.
What about external regulators? What about external regulators? The HEC, the
What about integrated bodies? They are not the regulatory which includes lessons, which gives accreditation. Accreditation is something else than lesson bodies. HEC is our not accredited bodies. HEC is exactly PMDC is lesson body, while accredited bodies are international bodies. There is no accredited body.
right, because it's not just HEC, right? You got several different regulators, right? And then, right, and then what about beyond that? What about other government agencies? Like, does the Ministry of Education have its own expectations outside of HEC, right? So,
Hospitals say that JCLE is international accredited. CAP is accredited.
they've got different programs, have different. Mhm. Yes, sir.
There are many stakeholders like first category facilitator, teacher, faculty, students, parents, family, they are facilitator stakeholders. For the genuine product or the higher institute, that is the student. We all are supporters. This is an end product. For what? For community, industry, we are for government agencies, government institute, where this product real time is. And they serve for nation, the job.
Okay, yeah, and like for these ones, you can break this down into different groups because
Still,
they- yeah, because there's different agencies within the government that have different interests. They're not all the same. Sometimes they disagree, right? Right. So you have to think of right, exactly interest levels. And, well, and for these ones, there'll be several. When you say family here, you talking about students' families or family? Okay. That's good. Okay. I want us to have a brief conversation as a group about where you guys are going. So a lot of you have very similar lists, right? Some people have gone into a little bit more detail on one side. Some people have gone a little bit more detail on the other side in terms of like one side focus on internal, other people on external. When we think about internal, for example, how many of you all put your own supervisor, your own boss? Most people in here said that you guys are you're working internally. So some people, yes, you list your own boss, right? Because often, unless you're the person in charge, right, one of the primary stakeholders that you need to get on your side is that person that supervises you, right? Who might have a little bit more influence or sway, might be able to open doors, might be the person who needs to sign off on a letter, right? So when we think about stakeholders, we want to get down to that type of nuance, right? Who is it on our team, right? Because sometimes it's not the boss, it's maybe the people who work underneath us. We need to get our team on board because there's a lot of different pieces to it. A lot of work has to be done, et cetera, et cetera. So internally, we really want to think, start close to us. Who are the closest people to us that really matter, right? And then externally, see a lot of people list regulators, right? Are all regulators the same? Do the regulators always agree? Is there always clarity about how this regulator's policy and this regulator's policy line up? Right? No. So when we start listing out stakeholders, we need to have that type of differentiation in mind. We need to separate them out and be very clear that sometimes this local regulator and this national regulator don't see eye to eye, right? And so we need to manage them differently, right? Sometimes we have a really good relationship with one and a really tense relationship with the other one. And we have to acknowledge that and think about them differently, right? And then when we think about a regulator, and I'm going to say HEC. And when I say HEC, I'm not talking about the HEC in Pakistan. Everybody's got a higher education council of some sort, right? We're just talking generically HEC. Within the HEC, you often have leadership structures that don't always agree, right? You often have, somebody, an inspection team, right? And maybe there's someone you get along with, and maybe there's, a manager somewhere that you don't get along with, right? So we have to think about, even within the institutions, when we think about our external stakeholders, what are our relationships like with those teams? Because when we get to the part about strategy, we're going to be talking about how, who do we engage with? So we want to be very clear about those things. And that's the type of conversation you need to have with your team. And you say, okay, well, actually, you've got a better relationship with such and such. So would you mind making that phone call? And then I'm going to email these people over here because, we've been communicating pretty positive, right? So when we think about stakeholder mapping, it seems easy at first because you're just thinking generically, right? We want you to start thinking in a lot of specificity, right? When you do stakeholder mapping, right? Because we're all talking about, like in higher education, there are a lot of stakeholders, right? So it can be very complex. So if your list has 50, 60 entities or names on it, that's okay, right? It's easy to come up with first 5 or 10, right? We want to get very thorough and very detailed in order for us to be effective, right? Does anybody have any ideas, any suggestions, anything that came up on your list that was not one that you kind of normally think about when you think about stakeholders? Yeah, just call it out. The local community. Okay.
Education.
You want me to put the mic in your face?
So I'm talking about local community. In our case, in health professions education, local community is very important because we have to cater to the needs of that community.
So you guys do like clinical hours and such?
Yes, we do have hospitals where our students go and get taught,
Okay, yes, so local community is very relevant. All right, anybody else? Gonna make me run back and forth while I'm exhausted, right?
Basically, when I was thinking of the productivity or output of an institution, that research comes up in my mind, and the research partners and the vendors and the people that are actually involved in that particular process. So the research partners are also it was not in my mind apparently. I thought that's it. So
Yeah, this is another good example. Research partners. We don't think about them often enough.
We have categorized them in three categories. First of all, the academic stakeholders, then the society, and then the regulators. And in academics, the students come first, then faculty, and employers, alumni, and research partners, as he said. And we put in society and the parents, family, community, entrepreneur, and industry, and the Q agencies. We have put them in this category. And the regulators are the administrative body of the university itself, and the government, and the governing bodies like HEC and all that, and the ranking agencies. I think they are in this category.
Ranking is an interesting one. So it seemed like pretty much everybody mentioned students. So just out of curiosity, before we go on break, how many of you all actually engage students? How many of you all actually engage students on a regular basis in your QA processes? And I don't mean sending out surveys. I mean, like, you have specific students who come, sit on committees, engage with you, participate actively. A few hands. Okay, so of the people who do not, is it because somebody else doesn't want you to? Like, some people just don't think student input is valuable, right? Or is it because you just feel like you don't have time? Like, I'm just curious.
Of course, we do surveys with alumni, but actually at the end of the course, we speak with students. What did you like? What you didn't like? And what are the things you wanted to have in it so that we improve when we are teaching this same course in the next semester. So this is the practice, this is the exercise we have in our program and in our center. So we get feedback from the students when they have completed the courses. At the when we start, we also learn about their expectations, what they are expecting from this course. So the existing course outline is being changed in line of their expectations. So they always share that what they want to have, what they want to learn, what the skills they want to get from this. So we also mold our courses according to their expectations. But most of the time, our core agenda, which we want to impart them, which we want to teach them, remains the same. But of course, we entertain their expectations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's get one more person before we go on break. Anybody who is in an environment where student engagement is discouraged? Anybody want to admit that? Because we know, we talk about it, some people just say, oh, you know.
When you talk about the student engagements, we have a very challenging situation, as generally don't consider that students have that kind of approach or that aptitude to come up with some really concrete, some solid improvement plans, so that we can consider them, and especially in strategic planning processes. This is what I personally.
Okay, so, yeah, so we're gonna go on a tea break. How long do they have? Okay, so we'll go on a tea break. When we come back, we're gonna get into some detail about thinking about influence and interest, okay? So it can be mulling in your mind. All these stakeholders we talked about, when we come back, we're gonna get into their interest and their influence, okay? I'll see you guys in like 15 minutes or so.